Welcome to the Deacon and happy St. Francis Day today. St. Francis of Assisi was a monk who who started different orders and lived in poverty when God convicted him of the world that was in chaos and the church in ruins. And he lived he was actually born exactly 800 years before me, and he died on October 3rd, year 1226. And I remember I was a teenager when I first heard about him. The quote that he's been credited for was always preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words. And that was something that really spoke to me because it has always been easier for me to listen, active listening, and be engaging in people's life that way than necessarily speaking and have to sound clever and wise. And I also see that was what Jesus did a lot. He was sitting around and listening to people's stories, and then he would share the love of God and share the gospel through his life, and of course use words when necessary. Later on, while studying St. Francis of Assisi, then I found out that he actually talked a lot. He loved preaching, and one time the Pope was kind of tired of him and said, go preach for the pigs. And actually he ended up going out in the woods, and he started preaching for the birds and the wild animals. And some of the stories goes that all the forest animals would gather around him and listen. And he would talk to the wolf about not killing people in the villages and stuff, and the wolf would listen. And it's pretty amazing. But what's and he actually grew up extremely wealthy, and I think that's even though it was 800 years ago, there is so many parallels to our world today, with materialism, with caring for people around you, caring for the poor especially, and his life was full of diaconia, helping the people in need. So as I said, he grew up very wealthy. His dad was a silk merchant in Italy, and when his dad was gone on business trips, there was one time where Francis he wanted to help the poor, so he took a lot of his dad's belongings or from his silk and stuff, and sold it, and sometimes he would give it away to help the poor and mission trips and stuff. Where one day he was hanging out a lot with the royal people of Assisi and the young people. So when he was a teenager, he saw a beggar on the street, and he felt a conviction in his heart that this guy needs a coat. So he ran down the street and he took off his expensive high class, upper class coat and gave it to the beggar. And all of his friends mocked him, laughing and calling him names. And when his dad heard about this, that his son had given away his expensive coat, his dad would scold him, even with beatings. So it was definitely not easy for him to live out his passion and compassion for people in need. And he ended up renouncing his heritage, saying that he didn't want to be his father's son if he had to work as a businessman and not be able to give money and help out people in need. So for a long time he lived as a beggar on the street, and he when he renounced his family, his dad, he threw the clothes down, and he basically, maybe even literally, walked naked out of Assisi and into the woods. and he started a lot of orders, and he was preaching the gospel. He was preaching that that the world is created by God, created good and beautiful, but we as human beings, we need redemption because of the sin that is within us, and that Christ is the way. He was very focused on Jesus Christ and the love of Jesus Christ. So he was very radical in everything he did, that he wouldn't consider himself a friend of Christ if he didn't love his neighbor. So there's a lot we can learn from Francis of Assisi, helping the poor. He even started helping lepers, and started a clinic, a little house where all the lepers could come in, and caring for them, the people that no one would touch or even be near. So yeah, that's the reason why we remember him, and it's really great to remember the heroes of our faith and good examples. Of course, the greatest example of them all is Jesus Christ himself. But yeah, just wanted to share a little bit about Francis of Assisi. And one more thing, sorry. I know it's getting a little long, this podcast, but today my wife Amanda and I went down. It's Saturday, so we went down, and we were cooking all morning and fed the homeless under the bridge downtown here in Nashville, Tennessee. And a lady came up to me and asked if she could pray today, because it was her birthday. So she would like to pray before the meal. We always pray before the meal when we feed the homeless. I said, yeah, that'll be great. If she had anything in mind, she had a little book with a little prayer book, and there was the prayer of Francis of Assisi, which is this prayer. This prayer is a little shortened, but where it says, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. And I'll encourage you to look up more about Saint Francis. But the cool thing was, I had no idea that it was Saint Francis Day today. But we prayed this prayer together. After she said she wanted to read from the book, she told me that she actually didn't know how to read. So if I would read with her, so we were standing arm in arm and saying the prayer of Francis. So that was a good time. And then on the way back from the bridge, Amanda told me that did you know it's actually Saint Francis Day. So that's cool. But I wish you the joy and peace and love of our Lord Jesus Christ to be with you today. And let the simple prayer of Francis inspire you. Thank you. See you.